Okay, so now that we have a good understanding of the squat and the landing technique of a jump, you want to put that into more of an athletic movement pattern with stopping your body. A lot of times people are training very hard at trying to get faster and build their acceleration, but neglect to train their ability to decelerate and change direction properly, and that's actually where you can make the most gains in the game of tennis, being such a small area that you got to cover, and with your lateral movements, that if you can master being able to slow down quickly and efficiently and change direction, that's almost maybe more important than being the fastest guy on the court, because you can change direction quicker and react better. All right?
Yeah, it's actually a really good point. In fact, I've seen a lot of tennis specific fitness type instruction and advice. Now that you mention it, I don't think I've ever seen a video or any other kind of instruction focused on the stopping, part, or the changing direction part, as you're talking about.
It's such an essential area because a lot of times that's where the injuries will occur. They will be trying to stop themselves and their body doesn't have the strength, so their ankle rolls, or their knee goes out on them, or their hip overextends, because they don't have that eccentric control and that ability to control their body smoothly in the stopping and changing direction. And then there's more force put through their joints, and that can lead to injury as well as less efficiency with your movement patterns.
Sure.
So the first thing I'm going to have Mike demonstrate is the basic foundation. Mike, if you could just start right back there. The lunge stop. If you are sprinting up toward the net and you just want to come to a stop efficiently, you want to come into a stop in a way that you could react from that stop quickly and go any direction. All right? You don't want to come into it hard. All right? So Mike is going to demonstrate what's called a lunge stop. So Mike is going to run up here and under control into this athletic position. All right? He's coming into an athletic position where he can shoot back off of his front leg to back pedal, or he could turn and go either direction out of that.
Okay.
All right? Let's demonstrate one more time. If you notice, he's lowering his hips. He's loading that front leg. He's keeping the hips lowered rather than just bending over at the waist.
Right.
And he's balanced. In this position, if I were to try and push him all different directions, he's balanced. Even though his front leg is loaded, he's balanced and can go any direction.
Okay.
All right? Once you master stopping straight forward, then you have to master stopping in a preparation for turning around and running back. Okay? So next thing we're going to do is called a lateral stop. It's very similar. The only difference is he's going to turn his body in anticipation that he's going to be either needing to change direction or assuming that he may have to change direction quickly.
Okay.
All right? So he's going to do a lateral stop where he's going to come up again.
Okay.
He turns into the stop. He's balanced. His front leg is loaded so that if he has to run back, he's driving off that front leg and getting a good crossover and running back into what we'll show a little bit later with the lateral run. Let's show one more time, Mike. He's coming into the athletic position. He's balanced. At this point, he could change gears and continue to go that way if he wanted to.
Sure.
He could run straight forward. He could backpedal, or he could run back. All right. So in that position, that lateral stop position basically is getting you into that athletic position smoother. Were you going to ask about the common errors with that? Because that's something.
No, but go ahead.
Common errors with that are the same thing that people present with the squats. They come in and their knees may buckle.
Okay.
They may, if you could demonstrate someone hopping into the stop, they kind of come into it rough rather than gathering their feet and slowing down progressively. They may come into it and do that, which
it's like a lot more shock.
A lot more shock.
Body,
requires a lot more strength. All right, and for someone who has weaknesses going on, that can be leading to a lot of issues. Whereas the lateral stop, there's a very quick but progressive deceleration with lowering the hips, and there's not nearly as much shock as with the jump stop like that. And the same thing goes with the forward stop too, the lunge stop.
Okay. So for people watching at home that want to try this, what kind of speed do you recommend? Is Mike trying to get to like full speed before he slows himself down, or what do you think?
The very first thing you want to do again is master the technique.
Okay.
So jogging approach
All right.
into the proper finishing style that Mike is demonstrating. Jogging up, finishing in that balanced lunge position.
Okay.
Once you feel comfortable with that, then you progressively increase the intensity of the sprint to make the stopping more of a challenging exercise.
Okay.
Same thing with the lateral stop. You do it slow, you work both sides, making sure they're symmetrical. If they're not symmetrical, you work the one side that's weaker more. You get good at it, then you get to the point where you're going full speed.
By the way. Otherwise, I'd be in the wall over there.
Exactly. So, when someone has good eccentric control like Mike does, that can play a big role in improving your tennis game as well as decreasing your risk of injury.
So this just improves overall joint kind of stability and strength with the lower body to help prevent injury in those areas.
Exactly. It's putting all the other stuff that we talk about together, the strength training and all that, to putting it into a functional skill that's used on the court. All right?
Great.
From this, then you want to learn how to go somewhere out of that stop.
Sure.
Okay? And, everybody, when it comes to moving forward and backward, lateral, everybody kind of has their own little style of the way they do things. But there's things that we've found that make the body work more efficiently with change in direction, okay? The first thing, and a common mistake that we do see with a lot of kids especially, is doing their lateral shuffles, moving laterally, all right? A lot of times they are dominant on their leading leg rather than pushing off their rear leg, okay? So Mike is going to demonstrate a push shuffle, which is an exercise that we would do with someone where he's moving laterally. Okay, go ahead and start your shuffling. He's pushing off of the back leg to cause the movement to occur.
Okay.
All right? Rather than pulling with the front leg, which can lead to groin injuries, which can lead to shutdown of the muscles being inhibited on the outer hip, more so. Using the outside of the hip, he propels himself. All right? Now, Mike's going to do it. That's more of a little bit of a bound. Now he's going to do smaller, quicker steps, but still pushing with a slide. Okay? What you'll notice here is he's pushing off of the back leg. The front leg is almost just like a brake. It's just kind of maintaining it.
Sure.
If he wanted to stop and change directions quickly, he's already engaging his lateral hip muscles with the pushing. So it's a quick transition. If someone is using their adductor muscles to pull, their body has to switch from using these muscles to these muscles to stop and go the other direction.
On the same side of
within the same side.
Of the body.
If they're doing outside of the leg push, as soon as this leg hits, this outside of their hip is being activated. All right? So it can fire back the other direction more efficiently once you master that technique, and that can lead to quicker change in direction, especially in very small areas and spaces.
So the way that Mike's demonstrating it basically kind of more evenly spreads the load across the whole lower body from going from one side to the other side.
Exactly.
Instead of pulling and then trying to stop with the same.
Exactly. So you're not overextending, you're using your outer hip muscles, and you start out with a slower one like Mike is doing, and then as you get better at it, then you actually make it into a much faster shuffle. All right, so go ahead and show a quicker one, quick shuffle. All right, so now he's moving back and forth quickly, all right, and he's pushing off the back leg.
Okay.
All right, so with that exercise, thank you, Mike. With that exercise, you're really working on your lateral speed, okay? And then when you're in a match, you're back and forth. Okay, you're pushing off your outside leg quickly, makes a more efficient transition in your change of direction. It also helps you to, if you need to go sideways and then forward, if you have that outside hip engaged already, you can go forward quicker rather than have to, again, switch the muscle group from the inside to the outside of the thigh. A split second can mean a lot in reaction time.
Yeah. So once again, technique and smoothness, I assume, are really important here to not only do it correctly and train your body correctly, but to avoid injury as well.
Exactly. Very, very important component of injury prevention, as well as improving your tennis game. Beyond that, the last thing I want to discuss with this is, now that you know how to stop, now that you know how to more efficiently move side to side, is if you've got to turn and go, if you've got to get there fast, all right, and you don't have the ability to just slide and cover your area, if you've got to commit to an area, all right, being able to stop and turn and run fast without losing control of your body, all right? So two things. First, a preparation exercise for that would be a high knee karaoke. All right, everyone knows the regular karaoke as a warm-up exercise, which is excellent. A high knee karaoke prepares you for that turn and run. All right, so Mike's going to demonstrate first just a regular standard karaoke. Okay. All right, going back and forth. Okay, working on your hip rotation mobility and getting everything warmed up. Okay, now Mike's going to demonstrate a high knee karaoke. he's going to punch his knee up across his body, punch a knee across, and then punch the ground on the way down. That's going to help to propel his body more laterally.
Okay.
All right? So when he is running, thank you, Mike. Now Mike, what he's going to do is he's going to do the lateral shuffle, and then once he stops here, he's going to do the high knee karaoke going back. So you can see how the transition is out of this position, that punch, which is going to lead into our last exercise, the lateral run.
Okay.
So he's going to shuffle, and he's going to hit it and go into a high knee karaoke. Okay, so he's getting that hip turn and that punch to accelerate him going back.
All right, okay.
Rather than turning and trying to pull, which can lead to using the wrong muscles for your acceleration. You really want to be using your glute muscles for accelerating, more so than your hamstrings. A lot of people have it the other way around, which can lead to hamstring issues, knee problems, and low back issues.
Okay, great.
All right.
Nice job, Mike.
Good. The last one we're going to do again is the lateral run.
Okay.
Okay, so the lateral run, all it is the high knee karaoke without crossing behind.
Okay.
Okay? So
first it's all in front.
Exactly.
Okay.
All in front. Just walk slowly through the lateral run technique. All right? As you can see, his body is facing that way.
Right.
But he's moving sideways. This is a great thing if you're along the baseline to keep square to your opponent while moving laterally very quickly to adjust to where the ball may go, unless you have to fully commit, in which case you're going to run forward.
Sure.
So this is also great for covering ground very quickly laterally when you know you got to get the other direction right after that.
This is actually excellent as well for overhead. A really common technique issue that recreational players have is when they're at the net and somebody tries to hit over them, they'll move back heels first. This is actually just perfect demonstration of correct technique to keep your body sideways to the ball, but still move backwards for the ball.
Definitely. So you can get in position to return the ball.
Exactly.
And then be in a position once you return it to push off and get back in a position without being caught off guard and being susceptible to an open shot from your opponent.
Absolutely.
So let's demonstrate the lateral run now at a faster pace. Okay. With this, you're working on that lateral run. You're going to make a faster transition laterally. All right. It's definitely good to exaggerate the knee drive like that when you're training it.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mike. To exaggerate the knee drive like that when you're training it, and then when you're finally on the court and putting it together, it's more of a smooth, natural run.
Sure.
All right. So you're here and you're like that. All right. So once you've trained that knee drive and that punch on the ground, then it's a much smoother, natural-looking motion. And the good thing is, with the lateral stop that we demonstrated there, if you're doing that lateral run, you're right into that lateral stop, and you can change direction right away.
Sure.
Rather than committing here, having to do the lunge stop and turn all the way around, which is a good technique, but can cost you time.
Sure.
So those are the different ways that we coach athletes on changing direction more efficiently, decelerating more efficiently, which will improve their performance, which will decrease the risk of injuries, and take stress off of their knees, ankles, and hips.
Nice. You got it all there. Yeah. In wrapping up, I was going to ask what specific parts of the body this is good for injury prevention. So ankle, knee, hip.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Great.